and Chag Sameach. It's also the beginning of Sukkot, the Feast of Booths. So we will have a few special things this evening because of that. So just get ready. We're going to begin this evening with Hine Matov. So one of the special things we do this evening is bless the Sabbath candles with also the festival candles. So it's a double blessing tonight. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shabbat v'yom tov.
You may be seated. And now we'll welcome the Sabbath angels with Shalom Aleichem, page 5.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bachuni L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zeichem L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, page 13.
Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai kol haaretz, Shir Ladonai b'chol shemo, Asro miyom leyom yeshuato. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai
Even the heavens will rejoice. Yismechu Hashamayim on page 14, followed by Romamu, page 20.
ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותקל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותקל הארץ. Yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, Omeloi. Yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, Omeloi. Yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'takel haaretz. Bottom of 20. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לאחר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לאחר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לאחר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לאחר קודשו.
And now we welcome the Sabbath bride, the Sabbath queen, with Lecha Dodi, page 23.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשיר ותפארת ולתחילה, ולתחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוד מעשה ומחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בלון, גם בשמחה ובצלם. תוך אמוני ארצי גולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Now let's take a moment to welcome each other for this Shabbat and the festival of Sukkot. We'd now like to invite those who are mourning, and those observing a yard site will recite the Mourner's Kaddish, which is found on page 30. Yit Kadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah v'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'agalau v'zman kariv v'yemru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam le'almei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit ramam v'yit naseh v'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal Shemei dekudsha b'reichu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'yemru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'yemru Amen. Osei shalom b'mramav hu ya'asei shalom alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'yemru Amen. We now invite everyone to rise for Baruch, page 39. We may be seated, and we continue with Ahavat Olam on page 40.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, בית ישראל, אהבת תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
We continue silently in Hebrew or English to the bottom of page 42.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, the song our ancestors sang when they crossed the Red Sea, page 44. Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. Help us to lie down in peace tonight and awaken us to life renewed in the morning. Hashkivenu, page 45.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ushmor et tzayteinu, u'evoleinu, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, oh, one day, one day, one day. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu el Shalom v'hamideinu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu el Shalom v'hamideinu malkeinu lechaim. ולפרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו, ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
We continue now with Vishamru on page 46, and we add Vayedaber Moshe because it is also the festival of Sukkot.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת כשבס לעשו את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וידבר משה את מועדי אדוני אל בני ישראל, אל בני ישראל. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Please rise for Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבי, בעלמא דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבא מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקודשו. בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דל מאירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
So you'll notice in the prayer books the red words at the bottom there. We're going to turn to page 306 for the Festival Amidah. And it's a little bit tricky because it's the Festival Amidah for the morning, afternoon, and evening service. So you want to do the parts for the evening service, which means we're going to skip page 308 and do the short form Kedusha, which is at the top of 39. And we're going to do Shalom Rav instead of Sim Shalom. And because it's also Shabbat, you're going to add the insertions for Shabbat. I hope that's all very clear. And so we're going to do the silent Amidah now, starting on page 306. Shalom Rav, page 313.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam V'Shalom Rav Al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam V'Shalom Rav Al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Ki Ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam V'Shalom Rav Al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Tasim Leolam shalom b'imromav. Ose shalom b'imromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down. Ose shalom b'imromav. Ose shalom b'imromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down.
And now a prayer for those in need of healing, a special prayer, Misha Perach.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing for us and all of those we love. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
You may be seated. Kaddish Shalem, page 54.
יתקרא שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותי, והמליך מלכותי, בחייכון ומכונב חייך בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן, יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם ועמיה. יתברך וישתבח יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי לקודשה בריחול, לעילה מתקו ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירון בעלמא ואמרו אמן. תתכבד לתהון ובתנכו ישראל, קודם אבוני ושמיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה בין שמיה, וחיים עלינו וכל ישראל ואמרו
Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. So we're all familiar with the custom of inviting guests to our Passover Seder. Let all who are hungry come and eat, we say at the beginning of the meal. And most of us do, in fact, invite several guests to our home to enjoy the multi-course extravaganza that's served on the first 2 nights of Passover. Many of us also set aside an empty chair or at least a cup of wine for a distinguished spiritual guest for the evening, the prophet Elijah. Perhaps a little less well known is the custom of inviting spiritual guests into our sukkah. They are called ushpizin. Even the word sounds a little bit strange. It's an Aramaic word, but it actually is borrowed from the Latin hospice, from which which means guest, and from which we get words like hospital and hospitality. Hospice, or ushpizin, right? There's a certain similarity to those words. This tradition of inviting ushpizin, or spiritual guests, comes from the Kabbalistic text, the Zohar. There are 7 guests that are specifically mentioned in the Zohar, 1 for each day of the festival. They're all men, naturally, because the tradition developed long before men became enlightened. The guests are Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Aaron, and King David. Now, our movement has updated and, in my opinion, improved the guest list, encouraging us to invite 7 important Jewish women as well, either the spouses of the men being invited or someone of similar importance. So typically, Abraham and his wife Sarah are invited. Isaac and his wife Rebekah are invited. Jacob and one of his wives, Leah. Joseph and his mother, Jacob's other wife, Rachel. Moses and his sister, Miriam. Aaron, well, he doesn't have a good pair in the Torah, so we picked the judge and military leader Deborah from the book of Judges. And finally, King David and his ancestor, the Moabite convert to Judaism, Ruth. Now, some people invite these 7 prophetesses mentioned in Jewish tradition instead. That would be Sarah, Miriam, Deborah, Hannah, Abigail, Huldah, and Esther. In any case, many years ago, our movement published an article which suggested different ways of celebrating the Ushpizin during Sukkot, 7 of them, 1 for each day of the festival. And they're really good suggestions, so I thought I'd share them with you this evening. The first thing they said, for the first night, you can think about each of the 7 or 14 spiritual guests we're inviting and think about what personal character traits or heroic deeds these people accomplished or engaged in that inspire us. What lessons can we learn from their lives? On the second night, we can think of some other famous Jewish personalities in history that we'd like to invite. Other biblical characters, perhaps, or maybe somebody famous from the Talmud like Hillel or Rabbi Akiba or Bruria, to get another woman in there. She's a famous woman in the Talmud, known for her wisdom and knowledge. Perhaps the eminent sage Maimonides from the 12th century, or dozens of other famous Jews during the ages, Yehuda Halevi, Rashi, Nachmanides, Joseph Caro, the Baal Shem Tov, the Vilna Gaon, or Israel Salanter, to name a few. Now, if some of those names don't ring any bells, that's okay. You can look them up, as I always do, on Rabbi Wikipedia. For the third night, you can think of some modern heroes of Judaism, perhaps some of the early Zionists like Theodor Herzl, Chaim Weizmann, Echad Ha'am, or Eliezer ben Yehuda, who virtually reinvented the Hebrew language. Or what about Henrietta Zold, a brilliant Jewish scholar who would easily have been a rabbi if she was only born in the 21st century instead of the beginning of the 20th century. She's still famous, of course, mostly for the amazing Jewish women's organization that she founded and led for many years, Hadassah. Or perhaps Hannah Senich, who wrote the famous poem that many of us still sing, Eli, Eli, Shelo Yigamer Le'olam. My God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the water, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of humanity. Hannah Senich was a Hungarian-born Jewish woman who volunteered with 36 other Jews in March of 1944 to parachute into Yugoslavia and rescue Jews who were about to be deported by the Nazis to death camps. Unfortunately, she was caught by the Nazis and tortured and ultimately executed at the age of 23. What can we learn from these early Zionist pioneers and thinkers, many of whom left their homelands to come to the swamps and desolate areas of Palestine to build a new homeland for the Jewish people, and often fought and died to save Jewish lives or to establish Israel's independence? What about modern Jewish American thinkers like Solomon Schechter, Abraham Joshua Heschel, Mordechai Kaplan, or perhaps Jewish sports figures like Hank Greenberg, Sandy Koufax, or Alex Bregman? Which of these many, many modern Jewish heroes and leaders would you like to invite to your sukkah, and why? What would you like to ask them? What would you like to learn from them? On the fourth night, you can think about your own family tree. Many people are excited to learn about their own genealogy. Talk to your relatives and learn what you can about your own family ancestors. Who would you like to invite from your ancestry to your sukkah, and why? What would you like to talk to them about? What family stories or hopes or aspirations and dreams would you like to learn from them? On the fifth night, you can think about the ways that Sukkot might have been celebrated in the United States at different times over the last 350 years in the U.S. What do you think it would have been like during the Revolutionary War to celebrate Sukkot, or during the Civil War, or World War II? Or what about the Great Depression, or the Wild West? On the sixth night, you can invite some real live flesh and blood guests into your sukkah. You can actually do this all 7 nights. Invite other family members or friends. Invite someone here from Beth Yeshurun, somebody you want to get to know better. What better way to get to know people than to crowd into a tiny little booth out in the beautiful weather in Houston, the heat and humidity, hopefully without a flash flood downpour. Maybe you should invite your neighbors. They're probably wondering what the heck you're doing in a shabby-looking shack in your backyard. You can invite them over and explain it to them. Finally, on the seventh night, the suggestion comes from the Zohar again. Not only should we celebrate and be joyous in the Sukkah, but we should also help the poor to celebrate. And traditionally, the suggestion was to share our food with the poor in town, but perhaps in our day it's more helpful to donate food to the Houston Food Bank or the JCC for their Meals on Wheels program. So there are 7 ways that we can interpret this mitzvah of inviting ushpizin into our sukkah. Now I imagine that some of you are thinking, well, I don't really have a sukkah, and I don't know how I could ever build one. Well, if you have a backyard, or if you have a parking space that's open to the sky, and you don't mind giving it up for a week, you have a place for a sukkah. And if you need help designing one, there are plans that you can find pretty easily on the internet. And if you have some extra money, you can even buy a prefab, do-it-yourself, foolproof sukkah kit, which you can also find on the internet. If you're building your own sukkah, you may want to keep in mind some of the rules for sukkah building, which have been simplified into a Dr. Seuss-like poem that I always like to share at this time of year, so here it is. You can build it very small, you can build it very tall. You can build it very large, you can build it on a barge. You can build it on a ship, on a roof, but please don't slip. You can build it in an alley, you should not build it in a valley. You can build it on a wagon, you can build it on a dragon. You can make the schach of wood, would you, could you? Yes, you should. Make the schach from leaves of a tree, you shouldn't bend it at the knee. Build your sukkah tall or short, no sukkah is built in the temple court. You can build it somewhat soon, you cannot build it in the month of June. If your sukkah is well made, you'll have the right amount of shade. You can build it very wide, you can build it on its side. Build it if your name is Jim, or Bob, or Sam, or Tim. Build it if your name is Sue. Do you build it? Yes, you do. From the sukkah you can roam, but you should treat it as your home. You can invite some special guests. Don't stay in there if there are pests. You can sleep upon some rugs, but don't you build it where there's bugs. In the sukkah you should sit and eat and drink, but never spit. If in the sukkah it should rain, to stay there would be such a pain. And if it should be very cold, stay there only if you're bold. So build the sukkah one and all, and make it large or make it small. Sukkah rules are short and snappy. Enjoy Sukkot, rejoice, be happy. Chag Sameach. And now, please rise for Aleinu, page 56.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגבור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו הקוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ועושה ארץ, ומשה ויקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת שזור ושכינת שזור בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אלוהינו, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבת אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינות. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר בחי אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום החול יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמעו אחד.
You may be seated. We'll now recite the Mourner's Kaddish, which is found on page 58. And tonight, Beth Yeshurun extends its condolences to the families of Kenneth Goret, Lucia Susie Mitrani, Brian Schultz, Rosa Cohen-Malka, Ernesto Wexler, and Diane Feinstein. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 58. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah, V'yalma Divra Chirutei v'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala uvizman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach li'olam li'omei almayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei d'kudsha barechu. La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata na'amiron bi'alma v'yimru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Osei shalom b'imramav hu ya'asei shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. We have a few announcements. There are some special events for Sukkot this weekend. We're having on Sunday at 11 o'clock, the Inclusion Committee of Congregation Beth Yeshurun invites the community to join us for our very first sensory-sensitive Sukkot brunch. This fully inclusive event is designed for all ages and abilities, with their families, caregivers, friends, and allies. Shake the lulav and etrog and fulfill the mitzvah of dining in the sukkah. Please register on our website and join us Sunday at 11. We're having our open sukkah, that is, you can bring your own food and sit in our sukkah courtyard to fulfill the mitzvah of eating in a sukkah this Monday, October 2nd. Nobody's reserved our sukkah that evening, so it's available for anybody who wants to bring their own meal and enjoy the sukkah. We won't have any formal program, but we will have drinks and cookies, and you can come and celebrate as a community. Our young professionals are going to transform our sukkah into a sports bar. Join us for food, for pub food, drinks, and games, and hopefully a baseball playoff if it's happening. Register on our website calendar to join us. Erev Simchat Torah, the big festival here at Beth Yeshurun, is going to be next Saturday night, October 7th. Join us at 7 o'clock for light bites and cocktails in the Kaplan Museum. We'll unroll one of the Torah scrolls, and you'll be able to take a self-guided tour through our museum, learn about some of the special Torah scrolls in our collection, and then at 7:30, we'll go into the bar for Simchat Torah service. Remember, the seventh Hakafah is candy, so bring kosher candy with you so the kids can do a Jewish trick-or-treat for Simchas Torah. The chapel service will meet at 6:30, museum at 6:45. On Sunday morning, Simchas Torah, there will be join us for a combined service at 8:30 in the chapel. And the last important announcement is we are, our social action partners this year will be Food and Faith Initiative. It's a pop-up groceries store with free food for indigent people. This October 9th, Beth Yeshurun will be participating with this program at the B'nai B'rith Goldberg Towers. So if you're interested, please register on our website. The Food and Faith Initiative is a wonderful experience. All of the rabbis here have done it, and it's a great experience giving away food to people who really need it. Those are the announcements. We normally would make Kiddush and Motzi here, but we're going to do that in the Sukkah because it's the festival of Sukkot with a special Kiddush for Sukkot. We'd like to invite the children up briefly so we can give them a blessing. No? Yes? Okay. Come on up. Taxi. There you go. Okay. So for the girls, we're going to say Yisimech Elohim Kesara Rivka Rachav Aleah. And for the boys, we say Yisimcha Elohim Ke'Ephraim V'Chemenashe. And for all of them, we say Yivarechecha Adonai V'Yishmerecha. May the Holy One bless you and watch over you. Ya'er Adonai Panav Elecha V'Yichuneka. May the Holy One's light shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai Panav Elecha V'Yasem Lecha Shalom. May God always be mindful of you and grant you peace and happiness now and always. And now our children are going to lead us out to the sukkah for Kiddush and Motzi. Let's all go. Let's go.